3, 2, 1.
You ready?
You're listening to the Real Pineapple Podcast Network. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. This is the Real Pineapple, and this is your humble host, Hunter, here. Hope you guys are having a great evening. So I gotta be honest with you guys. I always promise to be truthful and honest, no matter how controversial my opinions may be or what have you. But I gotta be honest, guys. I've been struggling this week. This past week with the Jacob Blake shooting, and just how our super awesome president and his inner circle have responded to it. It's been really disheartening just to see someone who is that tone deaf. I'm not going to go off on a huge Trump rant. Lord knows I could, but just the way he's carried himself through this whole situation. I mean, you know, I'm an optimist. You know, I think about someone, you know, like when the George Floyd shooting and how terribly Trump handled it, and I think, oh well, maybe he'll learn. And you know, that's the optimist in me, and of course he fucking doesn't. And so between that and I'm sitting here with Leia, my partner, on Friday night. And we'd had a very emotional week. I have been crying off and on pretty much since Wednesday. And randomly I check Google and I see Chadwick Boseman had died. And I just thought, you know, bullshit. There's no fucking way. Like, it's, you know, it's Black Panther. Like, you know, and then started gaining traction. And then Chadwick Boseman's official Twitter came out and unfortunately confirmed his passing. So in tribute, and I'm gonna have a lot to say about Chadwick here, for his review, but because we lost Chadwick Boseman, and he was 42, and it was on Jackie Robinson Day, it just felt very appropriate to go ahead and review 42, which I will be the first to admit I'd only seen once until today, which I know some people are like, what? And yeah, I know I suck, but I don't know. I just had this feeling, I just really felt led to review this, but this is written and directed by Brian Hegeland, who I was trying to remember that name. I was like, I know that name. And he wrote Man on Fire, arguably top 5 favorite Denzel movies. I freaking love Man on Fire. He also wrote the remake of the Taking a Pelham 1, 2, 3, which I loved. He's written a lot of stuff I like. Oh my god. He wrote Green Zone. He wrote Cirque du Freak, the vampire's assistant, that movie, John C. Reilly. He wrote Salt with Angelina Jolie. Enjoyed that. Wrote Legend with Tom Hardy, which I enjoyed. Let me see. Oh my god, and he did Blood Work and Mystic River and LA Confidential. Oh my god, this guy's great. Why didn't I? But he wrote this, and the thing about pardon me, the thing for me is I remember seeing Chadwick Boseman 42 and going, this guy's cool. Like, I think he's got something. It's ironically enough how I felt when I saw Michael B. Jordan in Chronicle, just going, okay, this brother, he's got something. And, you know, of course, he ends up becoming who he becomes. But the thing about this role in particular is that we talk about the war ending and how, you know, something that's really not talked about nearly enough about after war was over, Black men were coming home having fought for American freedom and being denied theirs. You know, we get into Jim Crow and, you know, the sit-ins and all that. And the thing I'm appreciative for about this film is that not only did it introduce me to Chadwick Boseman, who will go down as one of my favorite actors of all time, make no mistake about it, but this movie gets ugly in the sense of it shows you how bad it was. You see whites only written on the on like bathroom doors, and you just go like, son of a bitch. And you think about it, that was only really not even 80 years ago. I mean, God, Selma was like it was like 60 years ago, and we just think about. I think we have this almost this. Oh, God, I'm gonna. I know someone's gonna hate this. We almost have this American nationalism look view on how we view slavery, in the sense of we go like, oh, it was so long ago. We've evolved past that, and have we? Like it's getting to a point where that's a question we have to answer. And this film does not shy away from how incredibly ugly this country is back then, or was back then, because it still is. I mean, look at the riots. And what I found fascinating about that is the incredible amount of grace that Jackie Robinson is portrayed by Chadwick Boseman. He just has this level of gravitas to the man where you just sit back and you're kind of in awe of how effortlessly he's making everything look, and you just go, wow, okay. It's so impressive to me. And the other thing this film does such a great job of is really showing you how he had to deal with this shit. And it feels uncomfortable. I was watching this with Leia, and one of the things I was so happy about was that I was uncomfortable. Like, I was so happy I was uncomfortable, because there are these points where I was like, oh, motherfucker, like really getting drawn into this. There's a scene with Branch Rickey, who I have to give a huge shout out to Harrison Ford for. I think Hollywood just kind of gets to this point where we give Harrison Ford so much shit because, you know, he seems stoned half the time. But the thing about Harrison Ford is, I mean, you think about pardon me, even just going back to Ender's Game, Harrison Ford's a bad motherfucker, and people do not appreciate how great of an actor he can be. I haven't seen The Call of the Wild yet. I need to. But Blade Runner 2049 was only 3 years ago, and he was incredible in that. He is just one of my favorite actors ever. And even something like 6 Days, 7 Nights, or What Lies Beneath, he just has this. He has this quiet authority. And there are a couple times that he yells, but really, this is one of the most subdued Harrison Ford performances maybe ever. Honestly, he comes across so authoritative anyway. But what I love about this role is that he almost acts like a pseudo narrator, as far as really kind of breaking down these bits on racism, where it is very much like, hey, if you're not getting this, let me break it down for you. Because the way he breaks it down to the players, it really does feel like it's a very interesting window that it allows for the audience to go ahead and see through the way it's presented, which I loved. Harrison Ford, though, in this, there's a scene where Jackie breaks down because they're playing the Phillies, and the manager of the Phillies, who's played Ben Chapman, who's played by Alan Tudyk, and I just gotta say, Alan Tudyk is one of my favorite. I'm a huge fan of his. I think he, like Harrison Ford, really does not get enough credit for how great of an actor he can actually be. If you have not seen Tucker and Dale vs. Evil, that alone is a reason to see him or to watch him. But there's this point where he is saying just the most evil, vile shit. And he's yelling like, your nigger skin's gonna melt and you tar, baby. I'm just sitting here, and he calls Jackie a monkey, I want to say, and I'm just like, you son of a bitch. Like, I was getting so incredibly angry, and in the back of my head, I'm sitting there like, yeah, good. I should be this pissed off, but oh, it's so frustrating. It's so fucking frustrating to watch Alan Tudyk at points. But he played such a great villain here. I love the kind of villain that he played. And the thing that's so hard watching from the black perspective, especially, is that black people go through this. You know, him trying to go ahead and kind of break through to get onto the Dodgers. It's really crazy just to think about how his teammates didn't like him. They didn't like the fact he was stirring the pot. And you just look at all these different, there's a scene early on in the film where he's on the bus, where he's playing in the minor leagues. And they stop off at this, middle of nowhere gas station, and Jackie needs to go to the bathroom. So he kind of walks towards the bathroom, and the guy pumping his gas goes, "You know better than go ahead and go on in there." And I was just like, oh, this deliverance shit. And Jackie flat tells him, "Cool, we'll go ahead and get our 99 gallons somewhere else because we're on a giant team bus." And he goes and go on in, like he's not happy about it. But I was just like, I love that. I didn't know that Jackie Robinson was court-martialed for not sitting in the back of a military bus. I was just like, hell yeah! Even before he was on the baseball field, he was breaking down barriers. Just makes me love him more. And as much crap as I give the Dodgers, I have to give Dodgers credit. I mean, the Giants weren't doing this. I mean, I'm a Giants fan, but flat out, the fact that they got this done. I mean, what happens is no one signs him. I mean, it's a way different conversation we're having. And as a baseball fan, a casual fan, but a fan, it was really cool to hear. It was nice to hear old time baseball, like old time announcer baseball, like where it's like, oh, kids, like parents buy Cracker Jacks. We're here and we're in the thick of it, and like talking all old timey. I can't talk old timey apparently, but but talking in that vein, I found that so much fun, and it really added this level of authenticity. Good grief, there we go. To the film. One of my few complaints about this is that Nicole Bahari, she plays Rachel Robinson, Ray, as Jackie calls her. And Nicole and Chadwick have really great chemistry, and they get a decent amount of time together, but I want a little more time with them. Just independent of him just playing baseball. I would have liked to just seen a little more interaction there. I know I'm kind of nitpicky, but I really wanted that moment, some more moments with the two of them. So it's just kind of frustrating. There's a scene early on where Chadwick is supposed to get on the plane to report for spring training, and his wife goes to the bathroom in the airport where it says whites only on the door, and the lady running tickets goes ahead and gives their seats away. And I was just like, oh my God, you fucking bitch. And that's the thing that's so frustrating, that there are just multiple moments where you are just like, what is your guys' problem? Why are you so fucking mean? But again, it works so well because it's supposed to piss you off. But that woman, I was not a fan of her. So Chadwick's first manager is Leo Durocher, played by Christopher Maloney, who, I mean, you want to talk about Law and Order, guy's just a fucking badass. And he has a couple standout moments here. There's a scene where Branch calls him in the middle of the night and goes, what are your thoughts on Jackie Robinson? And he's just basically I have no ill will towards him, but fuck, let me go back to sleep. And he's in bed with this woman who's married. And so Branch goes ahead and talks to him about the Bible. He's like, oh, the Bible says this. And he's like, oh, okay, sure. It's a great read, I'm sure. And tries to get him off the phone. And Branch goes, the Bible also has passages about adultery too. And Leo kind of raises an eyebrow and goes like, oh, that's great. Good night. And that scene in particular had me rolling. I thought that was so incredibly fucking funny. And the scene that I think one of my favorite scenes in the whole film, there's a point where, of course, Jackie gets on the Dodgers, and the Brooklyn Dodgers at that point, and the team goes ahead. Pretty much every member of the team goes ahead and signs a petition saying that they won't play with Jackie. They won't play with Jackie Robinson. And I just remember thinking, holy crap. And there's this line that Leo drops, I'm paraphrasing, but he goes, there are more Negroes like Jackie who are hungry, who want to play baseball, who will do whatever they can, to get here, and that he's the first of many. And I love that line. And I really wish that more people did talk about the Negro Leagues, because you talk about so many of the great teams that came from there, and the great players that came from there. It's something that I love. That's something I love about Bob Costas. He's a huge Negro Leagues historian, but I know they don't have enough time to touch on everything. They touch on, they do touch on it a little bit as far as Jackie's ascension from there to the major leagues. But I was just like, would have liked a little more. But what are you gonna do? There are a couple moments in this movie that it's not gore or anything, but just as someone who does cringe easily when like bones are snapped or ankles are stepped on, there are just some points where I was like, oh my god, Jackie, like don't lose your shit. I referred to the scene earlier, but there's a scene, I believe they're playing Philadelphia, and that's when Alan Tudyk's Ben Chapman is calling him like, porch monkey, nigger, just saying all this shit. And Jackie goes down into the tunnel and breaks a bat. And he breaks the shit out of this bat. Like, it is like 2 swings and it's already broken. I was like, holy crap. And he just breaks down and he's just weeping. And I'm just sitting there watching this going, oh my god, this poor man. Like, the fact he had to go through this shit. And it just, it breaks your heart, because everyone is being so just, they are pushing his buttons so much and being such evil pieces of shit, and you're sitting there, you're feeling for him. And Jackie, he's on his hands and knees sobbing, and Ricky comes into the tunnel, and Jackie goes, I'm gonna go ahead, like the next white man who said, I'm paraphrasing, but the next white man who says something to me, I'm gonna break his teeth. And how Ricky has to talk him down, go, look, this is what, if you go out there and fight, the headlines, they're not going to talk about you being provoked. They're going to say you lost your cool, and you're clearly making an impact. And it's so heartbreaking, because Ricky's 1,000% correct. He's 1,000% correct. But you just see the look on Jackie's face, the fact he understands he can't lose his shit, but he wants to. And honestly, I've lost my shit on people for far less than what Jackie Robinson went through. So I felt this. I felt this just. I felt that anger. I felt that frustration. The term that Ricky uses is "living the sermon." You're living the sermon. Talking about you're going through it like biblically, and I love that tie-in. I love the way he used that. There's a scene with Ricky, and I want to say the guy's name. Oh yeah, Harold Parrott, who worked for Mr. Ricky. He's like kind of like not the manager, but he like kind of like frontline on the team. And it was so fascinating because they called back to earlier in the film where Harold was super like. He asked Mr. Ricky, "Are you out of your mind?" And he said he's going to sign a Negro. And now we're at this point where he is so afraid for Jackie, and he's so angry that people are being so shitty to him. And I just found that flip so interesting. The term that Harold uses is he talks about sympathy. You're feeling sympathy, which I didn't know in Greek means to suffer. So when you say you sympathize with someone, you're saying that you suffer with them. And I found that so beautiful and almost gothic in the way that he broke that down. I was like, wow, I love that. That's something I never knew. And I was like, oh, all right, that's fucking awesome to know. There is a scene, and I'm going back to Alan Tudyk because, again, I hated Ben Chapman in this movie. I wanted to shoot him. There's a scene where the Dodgers are going to come to Philadelphia, and I can't remember it's the team manager for Philadelphia. I want to say, or the team owner, I believe, calls Ricky and says, oh, well, if, like, yeah, we're playing you guys, you're coming to our stadium. If you bring Jackie Robinson with you, we're not going to take the field. And Ricky flat out says, oh, I'll take a forfeit. Like, that's fine. And I remember just laughing, going, damn. And that's something about Ricky in this movie. He does not pull any punches. He's a bad motherfucker. And I appreciate the hell out of him in this. But Jackie goes to Philadelphia, and Ben Chapman is basically told by the team owner, it's getting way too hot out here as far as the racial tension, like, because a story in the paper comes out talking about how racist the team is, which was funny and made me laugh. And so there's this, and Jackie Robinson, they do a great job of this. Jackie Robinson does not snap. He never starts yelling at anyone really, or anything like that. But Ben Chapman, sends word basically to the team that, hey, I want to take a picture of Jackie Robinson, kind of, bury the hatchet. And so Jackie says, oh yeah, like, we're not doing it in a tunnel, a place like that. We're going to do it on the field where everyone can see. And so Jackie grabs a bat and he goes, oh yeah, here, let's use this. That way we don't have to touch skin. And I remember in my head, I was like, oh snap, like, that's how you do it. And just that little dig. It's like in Remember the Titans when that one racist, Denzel, Coach Boone goes to shake the racist asshole coach's hand and he won't do it. And he throws the banana at him to catch because he called him a monkey in that interview earlier. I love that scene, and I love that dig, just that subtle little dig by Jackie made me feel very happy. Something that I loved, Wendell Smith, who, fun fact, I did not realize until I did a little research here, is that he actually played baseball in college and should have been an MLB player, but he was told by a scout that they just could not sign a Negro, and so he didn't get signed. And so he did everything he could to help someone of color, of course, get signed. And he actually was the one who brought up Jackie Robinson to Ricky in the first place, which they don't bring up. And I remember going, that would have been cool to have in there. Like that was a missed opportunity the film had. I was just like, oh, okay, guys, come on. So that was a little irritating as far as, complaints. But I love the scene with Wendell and Jackie in there driving the car. And because Wendell's really like he's chronicling Jackie throughout the whole, his first season, his rookie year. And so Wendell drives them everywhere, essentially. And there's this amazing scene where he picks him up from the airport and Jackie's trying to get a cab and he's there to pick him up. And Wendell basically kind of has to have a grown man talk with him, go like, look, your progress is not just your progress, it's our progress, essentially. And really telling him, like, this is bigger than you. And the thing that killed me, and I'm paraphrasing, but Wendell goes, why I sit, behind behind third base. And Jackie kind of just looks at him and goes, yeah, because Negro reporters aren't allowed in the press box. And I just went, oh, fuck. Or in the dugout, I believe he says. And I remember just going, oh, son of a bitch, that fucking sucks. Like, it's these things that you don't think about, but the way that the movie presents them to you, you go, okay, fair enough. There's this scene, this is the last thing I'm going to talk about before I wrap up here. Lucas Black, who plays Pee Wee Reese, I think it's Pee Wee Reese, he comes up to Jackie Robinson at a point in the game and puts his arm around him. And I remember that earlier in that scene, I believe they're in Philadelphia, and they're in Ohio, I want to say. Yeah, I think they're playing Cleveland, but he puts his arm around his shoulder. And earlier in that scene, there's this, redneck asshole dad with his little kid. He goes, like, we don't want you here, nigger. We don't want you here. And the kid kind of looks up at his dad, And I remember the moment he looked up at his dad, I went, "Oh, please don't do it." And of course, the kid does. He goes, "Yeah, Nair, we don't want you here." And I remember just thinking, that's how Fox News gets viewers. Like, it's just, it's those moments right there where I go, "Oh, Fox News, you sons of bitches." But I love that scene because when Pee Wee puts his arm around, when Pee Wee puts his arm around Jackie, that kid looks down at the ground like, "Oh God, what did I do?" And I was like, "Good, feel shame, white devil." This is what, but it was it was a genuine healing moment where that kid went, "Oh, I shouldn't do that." Okay, good to know. I The last thing I want to touch on is the cinematography. The way this film is shot and the way the film really makes you feel like you're there when Jackie's running the bases, it's amazing. Like, I love the way that they shot that this was shot. The cinematographer for the film, I actually do not know who the cinematographer is. Don Burgess, and that name sounds really familiar for some reason. Oh, he does cinematography on Castaway. Hell yeah. Book of Eli, The Muppets. Good grief, he's got a hell of a. Okay, nice, right on. I like this guy. But the way they shot that, anytime Jackie was running the bases, and you just like, even just him like rubbing his fingertips and kind of just like reading the pitcher's eyes when they're on the mound, like these little, just slight little camera cuts were just so beautifully done. And the way that the sand or whatever would shoot up when he slid, I was like, "Oh my God, it's amazing." Like, I love the way this film looks, and it really does have that vintage feel to it as well. I adore this film. I love this film. I think this is an incredible film. I can't believe I don't own this. I'm gonna have to buy this now. I wonder if it's in 4K. I'll have to check. But yeah, this is a fan fucking tastic. Despite my gripes with the film, the performances, and I cried multiple times. There's this scene. Sorry, nope. I gave my grade. But yeah, I just love this film. And in closing, I'm just gonna say, and I want to do a proper podcast before on this, but the news about Chadwick Boseman obviously is fucking tragic. But all I can say is that I am so happy that I got all the roles I got with him. I got 4 Black Panther appearances. Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame, and then his own film Black Panther. I got 4 Black Panther appearances, which is 4 more than I ever thought I'd get in my lifetime. And he was the perfect T'Challa. He was incredible in Marshall, which I think I am going to review here soon. Great Jackie Robinson, great James Brown. I mean, just the brother was so talented. And while this is heartbreaking, and while this sucks, and I hate that 2020 has just been not a great year at all, I'm grateful. I'm grateful we got Black Panther. I'm grateful that while he may never know how far his reach was, he got a little glimpse of what his acting and his seriousness in handling the role of T'Challa meant to people. And I mean, hell, I'm drinking out of a Black Panther water bottle right now. I'm sitting in a Black Panther chair right now. The character means so much to me, but that's something for another podcast. But to the family and friends and people that he was close with, to Chadwick, as far as Chadwick, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you're going through this right now. Yeah, and my thoughts and prayers are with you. Thoughts and prayers with all the fans too, who this has just hit. I know people push the rivalry; it's not there because people are stupid. But DC had a beautiful tweet, very respectful what they put out, and that was really, I don't know, it was a cool moment just to see DC, even even give him credit, give him props. The the tributes that have been rolling in have been insane. I read Ryan Coogler's. I recommend you read it if you haven't yet. Rob Downey Jr. is beautiful. Chris Evans, everyone at Marvel, Feige. Yeah, just even the fan tributes. I would really recommend if you haven't had a chance to look at some of them. I mean, Josh Gad's made me cry. Like Josh Gad's genuinely made me weep, and I just have, yeah. So we will do a proper farewell to Chadwick Boseman at some point. I'm gonna be honest, I need to try to get into a space where I feel like I can do that. But I love you guys. Thank you for listening. You can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. Chadwick, thank you, sir. We'll call him forever.